right now we are at an important milestone. So we have finished the development process, and now we're testing what we have developed. So we're in a pilot phase, and we've been in a pilot phase for 3 months.
Prime Minister Andrew Holness is talking about the National Identification System, NIDS. The pilot rollout was launched last week, and we bring you insights of what will take place. So keep watching. Also on the show today, the Firearms Licensing Authority cautions against gun salutes and improper storage of firearms. Plus, increased benefits for NHF and JADEP cardholders. Hello and thanks for making it Jamaica Magazine. I'm your host, Adrian Atkinson. The details unfold right now.
Good day, I'm Stephen McHugh, and this is your JIS News for Thursday, December 22, 2022. 47 of 52 government ministries, departments and agencies, MDAs, have received clearance for the payment of salaries under the new compensation system for public sector workers. Minister of Finance and the Public Service, Dr. Nigel Clark, made the disclosure during a press conference yesterday. He says quality control procedures are still underway for the other 5 MDAs, and those were expected to be cleared today. These include Bellevue Hospital, the Western and Southern Regional Health Authorities, the Houses of Parliament, and administrative staff at the Ministry of Education and Youth.
The Transformation Implementation Unit is still working on the remaining 5, and my expectation is that with the cooperation of these entities, they will also be cleared. And so the issues that have been reported on, the expectation is that they'll be resolved.
Dr. Clark says members of the TIU have been working long hours over the past 2 to 3 weeks to put the government in a place to implement the new compensation system. The process has involved the training of payroll officers by the TIU.
As far as I've been able to determine, there's no issue at all with what the new pay is. It's very straightforward to go from where you are in the old system to where you are in the new system. Where we have had challenges and where the training has really been required is in how you calculate the arrears that are owed, having agreed to have the new system be implemented with an effective date of April 1st of 2022.
Before the implementation of the new compensation system, the public sector had more than 325 grade levels and 185 allowances. The new arrangement is expected to greatly streamline the public sector. Micro and small enterprises, MSEs, have been given more time to apply for DBJ grant funding to scale up and grow their businesses. The DBJ has extended its application deadline for the Innovation Grant for New Ideas Entrepreneurship Ignite 4 from December 16 to January 6, 2023. Manager of the Boosting Innovation, Growth and Entrepreneurship Ecosystem BIGGI program, Christopher Brown, says the decision to extend the deadline was based on high demand. Ignite is part of the DBJ's BIGGI program, which is funded through a loan agreement between the Government of Jamaica and the Inter-American Development Bank. The grant funding is being offered to persons with novel and innovative business ideas in the areas of tourism and creatives, agriculture and manufacturing, technology, software and ICT, climate change, and gender. Registered Jamaican businesses can access up to $7 million under the program. They are encouraged to apply for an Ignite grant by aligning with one of the 7 business service intermediaries, BSIs, that the DBJ has working on the program. The BSIs are Jamaica Business Development Corporation, Sisters Inc. Jamaica, Technology Innovation Center, Caribbean Climate Innovation Center, Jamaica Manufacturers and Exporters Association, Kingston Creative, and TBR Lab. The Consumer Affairs Commission, CAC, is advising shoppers not to be misled by store signs that read "No refund, no exchange," as these hold no power under law. Communications Director at the CAC, Latoya Halstead, says this is due to the Consumer Protection Act, which gives customers the right to contact a seller if a product they have purchased is defective. Ms. Halstead, who was speaking at a recent JIS think tank, says the first step is for the consumer to contact the seller and explain what occurred. The seller will then need to address the issue by either fixing the product, performing an exchange, or refunding the customer's money.
My consumers, we have said this time and time again. Those signs are exactly what they are, signs. They hold no power. So no matter where you see those signs, you as a consumer should know that these are your rights.
As for signs reading, if you've broken it, you bought it, Ms. Halstead says customers should be conscious of their responsibilities.
The fact is you do have some stores with narrow aisles. And if you take your child in that store and you are not supervising your child and you allow your child to just run amok, you're at fault.
Farmers groups within the Kingston and St. Andrew branch of the Rural Agricultural Development Authority, RADA, are ensuring residents of the Maxfield Park Children's Home in Kingston can enjoy fresh produce this Christmas. The farmers groups presented the facility with an abundance of produce from their farms on Tuesday. The donation includes bananas, plantains, pumpkins, avocados, sugarcane, scallion, thyme, grapefruits, oranges, jackfruit, rosemary, carrots, lemons, fevergrass, limes, sorrel, and more. RADA's acting parish manager for Kingston and St. Andrew, Erard Stevenson, expressed delight that the gesture, which is usually an annual effort, is now back in full swing after being halted due to restrictions during the COVID-19 pandemic. The crops were grown in the hilly areas of communities near the Blue Mountains with little or no use of pesticides. The facility's manager, Renee Tuckett-Palmer, says the donation will result in huge cost savings for the home as the staff prepares to take on the big cooking at Christmas time. In addition to the farm goods, the farmers also donated toiletries, clothes, and toys to the home. RADA Kingston and St. Andrew is also assisting the Maxfield Park Children's Home with having a fully functional backyard garden where they can grow crops throughout the year. This is hoped to also inspire the practice of farming among staff and the approximately 80 residents. And finally, Christmas has also come early for 80-year-old Pauline Forbes, who received a new wheelchair from the Registrar General's Department, RGD, and Food for the Poor, FFP Jamaica, on Tuesday. Mrs. Forbes, who is an amputee living in the community of Brandon Hill, St. Andrew, expressed gratitude for the generous donation. She told JIS News that she lost her legs from a series of ailments, including high blood pressure and diabetes 4 years ago, and was happy to receive the assistance from the RGD. The executive agency recently revised its core value to RGD Cares, and Chief Executive Officer Charlton McFarlane says that it was Parish Officer for Kingston, Tamar Blake, who identified the need for the new wheelchair when she went to Mrs. Forbes' home to conduct an on-the-job interview. Ms. Blake was gathering information for a customer who was applying for a certificate of late registration. Having learned of the need, Mr. McFarlane then reached out to Food for the Poor for assistance in acquiring the wheelchair. RGD CEO also handed over an additional birth certificate for the son of the geriatric nurse who is caring for Mrs. Forbes, as well as a marriage certificate for one of her children. And that's it for JIS News Today. I'm Stephen McHugh. Thanks for watching.
Let us get you up to speed on developments for the National Identification System NIDS.
Today we launch the technical pilot for the program, and our citizens need to fully understand the process involved in rolling out a system of this magnitude. We have put in place a framework to protect the data collected under the NIDS. We have embedded into law serious consequences for data breaches. Most importantly, however, the NIDS is subject to the Data Protection Act. I must also stress the importance of consent, where the individual must give permission for their identity to be verified. And that is a first in our jurisdiction. We will be rolling out the NIDS in various phases. Today is phase 1. And this is where we will have the technical pilot rollout, after which we will commence a national rollout all across Jamaica, in all parishes. In parallel, work is proceeding to establish the National Identification and Registration Authority, NIRA, which will manage the NIDS. The technical pilot is a very important phase, and today we launch a process to test drive all the processes and subsystems that we have been developing in the last 3 years. During the pilot, it is of significance that we will move to obtain the International Civil Aviation Organization's, the ICAO certification. The Jamaica National Identification Card will therefore follow the international standards for digital identity enacted by ICAO. The NIDS program has partnered with various ministries, departments, and agencies. One such is Jamaica Post. Under the project, spaces within various post offices will be modernized and transformed into enrollment centers. The NIDS and Jamaica Post will work closely together, demonstrating how joined-up government and strong partnership between MDAs can deliver service and value for citizens. We are pleased that we are receiving calls and emails from the public who are eager to enroll, which is a good sign, as many Jamaicans would like not only an ID, that is their physical card, but they also recognize the importance of a digital ID. Now, the card itself is made from a polycarbonate material, and the information we collect will be engraved and digitally stored on the card. There are also several security features on the card to prevent duplication or misuse. From the law that guides the design of the card, to the databases and the encryption of data, to the monitoring and oversight of the authority, to the functionality of the system, there are various levels of embedded security. And I want to stress that we have gone over and beyond what is required to ensure that we have one of the safest, most secure systems in the world that is protecting your data and ensuring that the system is robust, your privacy is protected, but that it delivers the functionality that you require. We understand in this day and age how very important it is to protect data.
My message to Jamaica as we enter into the festive season, that is what we want to make it festive. We are somewhat tired of seeing persons just killing each other. We want to see a reduction in the violence. Now is the time for love. Remember, the reason for the season is about love, it's about giving, it's about sharing and caring for each other. So we want to have a season where we see less murder, less shooting, less robbery, less violence among each other.
The Ministry of Health and Wellness has increased the benefits under the National Health Fund, NHF, and Jamaica Drug for the Elderly program, JADEP. This will provide wider health care coverage for cardholders. Let's hear more.
NHF's strategic priority to improve access and enhance customer satisfaction, the fund conducts periodic reviews of the benefits under the program and in addition receives feedback from beneficiaries and stakeholders in relation to their concerns about the program. For the Board of Management meeting held on November 23, 2022, the directors approved the following changes to the individual benefits program. In terms of the NHF card, the card will now see an additional 41 new active pharmaceutical ingredients or APIs for the treatment of 8 conditions, namely hypertension, heart disease, vascular disease, diabetes, psychosis, glaucoma, sickle cell disease, and epilepsy. So 41 different medicines, if you will, to be simplistic for better understanding, to treat with these various ailments will be added to the list. This will cost an additional 474 million Jamaican dollars per annum in order to make provision for these additional drugs. In terms of the Drug for the Elderly program, JADEP, the board has also approved changes to ensure that 5 pharmaceutical items are added for the treatment of 5 conditions: arthritis, asthma, glaucoma, hypertension, and vascular disease based on some specific criteria. This will see approximately 21,000 active beneficiaries receiving benefits at an estimated cost of some $42.59 million per annum. Jamaican residents 60 years and older, Madam Speaker, just by way of information, can qualify for benefits under the Drug for the Elderly program. In terms of the prostate cancer or prostate-specific antigen test, prostate cancer is a very serious men's health issue, being the most commonly diagnosed cancer in Jamaican men and the leading cause of cancer-related deaths in our men. And so part of the challenge or the way forward is to encourage early detection through screening. Hence, this new addition to the NHF arrangement. So screening is really about early detection, and early detection saves lives. Screening for prostate cancer using the prostate-specific antigen test and the digital rectal examination or DRE can identify abnormalities and may find cancer early so that affected men can begin treatment before it spreads. Global Cancer Observatory data for 2020 estimates that Jamaica sees on average around 1,500 new prostate cancer cases annually. I am pleased to announce that the PSA test, the prostate-specific antigen test, will now be covered under the individual benefits program. Males over 40 years who are enrolled on the NHF card program can now access PSA tests. And this is very important that we encourage our men over 40 to get tested. In other words, it is taken care of if you are registered under the NHF card. The subsidy on the PSA test is set at $1,600 per test with a maximum allowance of 1 test per year, which is what you really need. We have some 89,665 active male claimants, 40 years and older, who can benefit from this new addition. And again, we say to these men, use the benefit to get tested. Early detection saves lives. To access these expanded benefits, Madam Speaker, and others, members of the public can call the NHF at 1-888 dial NHF or 1-888-342-5643. Visit the NHF's website at www.nhf.org.jm or visit any of the 106 drug serve locations for full-time and scheduled services at private and public health facilities island-wide. There are enough outlets for persons to get information and to access these benefits.
Do not leave valuables such as gifts, laptops, and cell phones in plain view in your car. If you have to leave these items in the vehicle, put them in the trunk. This will decrease the likelihood of a car break-in.
The festive season usually comes with a lot of celebrations. Sometimes persons get carried away and do things that they regret later or that cause harm to others. An example is the unlawful discharge of a firearm for gun salute. It's a practice the Firearms Licensing Authority, FLA, is strongly cautioning against.
Welcome to Get the Facts, the program that provides you with information on government's policies and initiatives. I'm Theodore Henry. Establishing a framework that prohibits the illicit trading of firearms and ammunition and distinguishing the regulation of items that are lawfully acquired and duly registered, these are the objectives of the Firearms Prohibition, Restriction and Regulation Act 2022. A lot of information is laid out in the Act, but our able guest will break down the information clause by clause. She's Director of Corporate Communications and Client Relations at the Firearms Licensing Authority, FLA, Beverly Robinson. Welcome to the program, Ms. Robinson.
Thank you for having me.
All right. So, I mentioned right at the start there are two of the major goals of this new Act, or this updated Act. Are there any other goals of it? Apart from?
Well, to allow for a framework for the efficient, would say, management of the private firearm industry in Jamaica.
Okay.
Right.
All right, so let's jump into the clauses. I'm sure you would recommend that everybody reads the thing for themselves.
Yes, we all need to read it.
All right, well, let me ask you some specific things. Now, Part 2 of the Act looks at the prohibitions in respect of firearms and ammunitions. What are some of the key changes in this area?
There are issues such as stockpiling. So you're not allowed to stockpile neither ammunition nor firearms.
Okay.
And if you do, then the penalty is going to be life imprisonment.
As a private citizen.
Right. The discharge of your weapon must only be in protection of yourself or your personal property, or in protection of someone else and their personal property, or in the unusual case that you're protecting your property from a trespassing animal. Therefore, gun salutes are an offense.
Christmas time.
Right. And I mean, for events, we have this habit, some firearm license holders and illegal firearm license holders of celebrating with their firearms. And the sanctions, the penalties are very, very harsh, and it is an offense. There is also a tendency during special times of the year when we celebrate special events for people to attend events, and nobody's too sure who has the licensed firearm. It's probably with a brother, or it is probably secured in some container somewhere. That is illegal, and it's an offense.
What's the legal way of going about that?
Your firearm, the Act specifically states where your firearm should be stored at all times. So it must either be in a holster on your person, in a safe at your home, and the word safe
Right.
is the operative word, not in the drawer or underneath the bed,
Right,
or underneath the mattress.
Safe.
Right, right. Or with the FLA, or with a police station. So anywhere else it is placed, you're committing an offense.
You had mentioned not with a brother. The holster has to be
On you, right.
The license.
Right.
Understood.
And if your firearm is lost or stolen, then the duty is on you to report it to the police the minute you discover that it is lost or stolen.
We're going to talk.
On the other hand, if you find a firearm,
okay,
then or you come in possession of a firearm by whatever reason, then your duty, that's a duty on you, whether you are a license holder or if it's not your firearm and you're a license holder, then you have a duty to report it to the police. You may be a medical person who is on a scene and you get in contact. Your duty is to report it to the police.
And
if you're a fireman, your
on.
duty is to report it to the police.
You said duty.
It is a duty.
So there are legal ramifications.
Yes, in the Act, it is clearly defined as a duty.
All right. Is there a final word you'd like to share with our viewers?
Just to urge everyone to think safety, or licensed firearm holders to think safety. We know we're coming up to the festive season. We know that, people have been under COVID restrictions for 2 consecutive Christmases, and we know there'll be overwhelming euphoria.
Oh boy.
And we're just encouraging license holders to think safety first, to be aware of their duties under the Act, and also the penalties, if we break the law.
This has been Get the Facts. Our guest has been Director of Corporate Communications and Client Relations at the Firearms Licensing Authority, FLA, Beverly Robinson. Thank you for watching. And until next time, I'm Theodore Henry. Take good care.
This is where our journey ends, but only for today. Do join us again tomorrow when we'll bring you another informative program. In the meantime, stay connected via our website, jis.gov.jm. And while you're online, send your feedback to Jamaica Magazine at jis.gov.jm or via tweet at JISnews. You may also find us on all the major social media platforms and through our mobile app that's Android and iOS compatible. On behalf of the entire production team, I'm Adrian Atkinson. Thank you so much for watching, and do take care.
This has been a production of the Jamaica Information Service, the voice of Jamaica.